What's up, folks? Yes, I'm in my car again doing a video, but I'm not driving. I'm parked at the moment because this is just a real quick encouragement. Just because I chat with people all day long. That is part of my job. I help people with insurance at a local hospital. And, you know, a lot of times those conversations, there are things that I can't say or comment on. And there are some things that I do. I have to just kind of be mindful about how far to go into something with somebody, even if it is somebody that is like really open and, you know, wants to have a conversation. But something this morning kind of sparked some thoughts in my head. And so I thought I would address them here as far as what we can control versus what we can't control. So there are things in life, obviously, that are beyond, despite our best efforts, anything that we can control. But does that mean that just because we have things that are out of our control, that we should slack off on the things that we can control? I would say no, but I would say most people probably do, or at least a majority of people, because we have a culture of complacency these days, because we have, that instant gratification mindset that if we don't get it, a lot of people just give up if they don't get exactly what they want, when they want, how they want it, at the time they want it, all that stuff. So let me just encourage you that just because there are things outside of your control does not mean that you should, can, or ought to slack off on the things that you can control, because you are building a momentum in your life. You are either building a positive momentum that's going to keep you moving forward, that's going to keep you growing, that's going to keep good things for the most part happening in your life. Even if it's just intrinsically, maybe all the stuff around you is falling apart, but you're still okay. That's a win. That's positive momentum in your life. Or you're going to be building negative momentum. So when we are taking care of what we can, and we are being good stewards of what we have, and we are doing that much well, we are building that positive momentum, and we can keep going and keep moving forward, even if it's little by little. And then in the midst of the circumstances, we can still be okay. When we have negative momentum, all the things, all the responsibilities that we choose not to address and that we shirk, all of the things that we avoid, all of the things that we decide we're not going to address, they will start building up and eventually catch up to us if we don't address them. And so I feel like when I see people that live in a constant crisis mode, it's because they don't do much between the crises. And I've seen this pattern as I talk to like 120 to 150 people every single month. I see this pattern. And you can tell a lot when you have a 20 to 30 minute conversation with somebody about what's going on in their life. You can really tell a lot. And, you know, my position is called a benefits counselor. And I think a lot of times people take the counselor part of that more seriously than about the benefits and insurance part, but it's fine. I'm happy to be an ear when it's needed, because sometimes people just need to vent. However, when there's a crisis that hits and people address that crisis just because they have no other choice, and then they kind of get past it, get through it, it does whatever damage, they accept it, or they do figure it out, whatever the case is, then they kind of go back to the mode of just eking along in existence. And then there's more and more things that aren't addressed, and it will lead up to another crisis. So this can be on a really small level. So it could be that maybe every time that you eat a meal in your home, you don't do the dishes. And then after about 2 weeks, you have this nasty kitchen full of smelly dishes. You have nothing left to eat on. So now you're at the point where you have to do the dishes, but otherwise you have nothing to eat on. You don't even have any paper plates in your house, right? And you have this mess now. Before, it would have been 1 or 2 plates, a fork, a knife, and a spoon, whatever, if you would have just done it the first time you had a meal. However, you've waited over 2 weeks And now every dish, glass, and utensil in your home is dirty, nasty, and now it's smelly because you thought if you just kind of rinsed it and set it to the side, it'd be fine. But no, now that water's got like bacteria in it. The food that was floating in there is kind of just grown like some mold. Now it's really, really nasty. Now you got a mess on your hands, and it's going to take you a lot longer to deal with that. That is kind of how life is, whether it's relational issues, financial issues, health issues. If you do not address it immediately, I mean, there are times when we do have to, this disclaimer, there are times when we do have to navigate the timing. I understand that. But if you don't mentally, emotionally address things immediately, they will build up. Just like in the physical, in the mental and emotional, and in the spiritual realm, they will build up. If you're constantly sinning and you're not repentant for that sin, it's going to build up consequences that are eventually going to catch up with you in this life or in the kingdom to come when Messiah comes back. So I just want to encourage you. This is not to discourage you, but wake up. What is it that you can do? Because you can do something every day. You have the ability. God has put within you an ability to do something every day to move yourself, your family, whoever else is responsible for you forward. It might just be doing the dishes every day. It might be having your family have a chore list. It might be that you have to quit smoking and you can't spend those extra finances on that because you're short at the end of the month. It may be that you have to get rid of cable or your smartphone. I'm going to lovingly say, if you have cable, if you have a smartphone, if you're using tobacco products and alcohol, if you're doing these extracurriculars, yet you claim that you don't have enough money every month to pay the bills that matter, you have money, you're just not stewarding well. I say that with as much love in my heart as possible because I've been there. I've been at times in my life where I had literally $1 in my wallet and nothing in my bank account till payday. And it was like 5 or 6 days till payday. My gas tank was low. This was like right after college in my 20s, and I didn't smoke and I didn't drink and I didn't have a smartphone. I had a flip phone, all of those things, right? I didn't have those things because I wouldn't have been able to afford them anyways. But you know, I understand what it's like to have your back against the wall financially. So I want to encourage you that if you have these extracurriculars where you're bleeding finances, you can change that. You have something immediately within your scope of influence that you can do, that you can control and make a better financial tomorrow for yourself. And there's lots of different things. Are you getting your nails done, your hair did, whatever else? I mean, there are things that we don't need that we spend money on, right? Eating out, that's another one. So that's kind of financial stuff. Spiritually, are you praying every day? Even if it's just for 2 to 5 minutes. Are you taking a moment or several moments to talk to your Abba, to talk to your Father? Time-wise, how much time do you spend? I mean, something like this, when we're like midrashing with each other, when we're encouraging each other, when we're watching something, that's great. Spend some time each day getting encouraged or challenged or taught. But if you're just simply scrolling through Facebook for hours at a time, if you're just looking at ads, if you do online shopping, but you just put stuff in your cart and then you never actually check out, you know what I mean? If it's just like a browsing thing, like what else could you do instead? Could you be reading the word and studying? Is there a skill that you want to learn? Is there somebody that you could help? How are you managing your time? Relationally, are you checking in with your spouse, your kids, whoever that is in your life? Have you actually talked to them? Do you know what's going on in their world? Are you involved, or are you like just kind of a satellite person in their lives that kind of knows about them, but you don't really know them? There are things that we can do that are absolutely within our span of control that will make a huge difference in the forward or the backward momentum of our lives. We can make those shift changes. And you know what? We have an Abba in heaven who also loves us, that if we cry out to him and we say, Abba, I realize that I haven't been doing things right and I need help on doing them correctly, I promise I'm going to do the best that I can with what I'm able to do here in the natural. But would you help me? Would you add your super to my natural? Would you help me do these things? Because I don't know if I can do it on my own. I've got to develop some new skills and some new disciplines and some new habits. I'm going to need help with that, Abba. He will do that for you. Do what you can do. Don't focus on the things you can't control. Take inventory of them, place them where they need to be. Just, have an acknowledgement of them, and then say, okay, in this situation, what can I control? And if there is absolutely nothing, then you rest in the fact that your Heavenly Father has you. And if there is something, then don't slack on it. Do what you can do, because that's all you can do. Have a blessed day. Think on these things. Selah and Shalom.